I hear you. Good deal.
All right. I'm going to take you off for now. Where's she at? There she is. And there she goes. See, her hair looks good.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, she wanted to put a helmet on, and I said, she's got better hair than I do. Better hair.
Everybody's got hair, better
hair than you, Mike. Let me switch us here on the camera feed. There you go. How you feeling?
Okay.
Yeah, you look good. You look good. You got anything to open the show?
Not so much.
No? It's blocking something, but I need it to stay there.
Well, you just came back from your European tour.
Yes, I did. And I don't want to talk about the European tour, but I'll talk about what we did when we got back.
Right.
You ready?
Yeah.
You sure? Yes?
Yes.
Nodding of the head means yes. Here we go.
And now for something special. The unit is self-contained with its own saddler, farrier, wheelwright and so on. It's a rigorous training dished out who know all there is to know about horses, and it brings results.
We take you behind the scenes now to show just some of the interesting aspects of this training.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine, the award-winning #1 podcast to create sounder horses from the ground up. Mike Stine is a registered journeyman farrier with an APF1 accreditation. On this week's show, joining us here in the studio, we have holistic equine trainer Penny Barboza that's going to talk about how young horses' care prevents further locomotion problems in breeding, discipline, and in the environment. All this and much more will be discussed here on Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. And over to my far right side is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing good, Travis. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. You look good. You look nice. You had a brand new hat on.
Yeah, a floppy hat today.
I know, because I left for Europe, went there for 2.5 weeks, had a great time, and right before I left, your hat, your famous Mike Stine leather hat was up here in the studio. Excuse me while I move the camera. And I was like, oh, he's going to need that while I'm gone. He's not, and it's up here in the studio. So I guess you found it or didn't find it?
I did.
Okay, so you got your hat and everything's good now.
It was hid from me, but I found it.
So I went all the way. We went to London, Paris, and then we went to Amsterdam. We spent about 2.5 weeks there.
Right.
Had a great time. And I brought you something, Mike.
Oh, wow.
All the way back from Paris. I'm going to hold this here in front of the camera. Don't forget, for every podcast, we do have a matching video over on our YouTube channel. Check us out over at Equine Dynamics Mike Stine, and you can see the full-length podcast over there as well. And you can see what I got here. Do you see it, Mike?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
It's a...
It's a chess piece.
It's a chess piece, yes. It's an Eiffel Tower keychain.
It's an Eiffel Tower keychain. I flew 4,300 miles.
Just for this.
Just for that. So I got you one of those just to say I was thinking about you, Mike. So I hope you enjoy it.
I will.
You will never lose your keys.
You want to bet?
Well, the Eiffel Tower will help. Just don't sit on it because that thing's kind of pointy.
Yeah.
So when we got back from our trip, we had a horse sitter that was here on the property. She did very well. Her name was Faith. I highly recommend her. She worked with Brett, our trainer. I highly recommend her. She did a great job. She's like, oh, your horses are so sweet. They're so nice. They're so lovely. Little does she know, she can come and visit. It's like when the grandparents visit the grandchild. Oh, your kid's so lovely. See you later. Leave the grandkids with the parents. And then they're little hellions when they run around. But she said she had a great time. Everything was good. We had a couple storms that came blowing through. There were some branches on the electric fence. She went out there and took them off. Everything was fine. But when we came back, my wife goes, well, it's springtime now. We need to seed our pastures. And I'm like, that's the last thing I want to do after a 2-week vacation. So I go out there, and we have, 22 some odd acres here, and half of that's for our horses that we have here. So I went out there, fenced everyone off, closed pastures off, went out there with what I call the Iron Maiden, that barrel that's got all the spikes on it to aerate the soil. Went out there, drove the thing around, aerated all the soil, went out there, bought bags and bags of seeds. Now, my wife, I know what to put on my lawn. I'm a lawn guy, but I don't know what to put on a pasture grass. My wife will just go here and send me a text message, get this for the horses this time of year. This time she didn't. She just sent me to southern states to go get it. So I went and got grass seed. And I said, babe, what kind of grass seed do you need? And she says, I want Timothy, alfalfa, clover, and fescue.
Okay.
Okay, does that sound right to you?
That sounds like what you put out, right?
Okay, well, that's what I put out. But the only bag they had, and I looked all through southern states, and normally when it's that time of year, they bulk everything out. So this is what we want you to buy. That's this time of year. I had to search high and low for grass seed for pastures, and the only one that I found was for cattle.
Okay.
It said beef cattle pasture seed. I said, well, what's the difference between, I mean, I know there's sugars and all that. So I look at the ingredients, the inert ingredients, the actual seed composition, and it says, number 1, 40% tall fescue. All right, there's one on my list. The next one was 40%, what was the other stuff that I said? Timothy. The other one was clover. The other one was the third thing that she wanted. And I said, I took a picture of it and I sent it to her and she goes, yep, that's it. Get that. And I was like, okay, but it says beef cattle on it. She's like, hold on, let me look and see if it's any difference. The only thing that the internet says was be careful when you buy beef cattle pasture grass seed. Okay. Is that they put a lot of rye seed, annual seeds in there, and those tend to have a lot of sugars in them. Right. So I'm looking at I take a picture of the label and I send it to her, and she's looking through it. She's like, yeah, it doesn't say anything as far as like the high sugars or anything like. She's like, just get that. So I did. I got it. I got, I think, 4 or 5 bags of it. Went out there and spread it. Not thick. I'm overseeding, so you do it a little thinner, right? Mm. Are you following me?
Best I can.
You are mesmerized right now. So then she goes to Brett, the trainer, the next day, and she said, we reseeded the pasture and everything. And Brett goes, well, what'd you put down? And she tells her tells him what I put down. And he goes, oh, that's great. You're not going to see anything until fall.
Pretty much. Because
that grass does not grow in the spring. So that's where I was kind of like, oh, well, I guess I did all that work for nothing.
Yeah, some of it will sprout out. Some of it the heat will take out.
Well, the bags were like $80 a piece.
That's okay. You bought them.
No, I'm hoping I aerated them good enough and we watered it in. We should get some rainstorms here. Hopefully it'll poke it down in there. And like the cicadas that go dormant for 15 years, then it'll go dormant all the way till fall time, and then all the seed will pop up.
You definitely, there are some grasses that do not like this part of the country. Uh-huh. And with your rye grasses and stuff like that, you got insulin spikes. So you got to be very careful with your horses that may be a little slower metabolism.
So I looked, there was no rye seed on there. There was no annual seed or anything like that on what I put out. So that's where I'm at. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, follow the show for any length of time, and we'll give you updates on that as well. All right, guys, we've got a big show to get into, lots to talk about, and we have a holistic equine trainer, Penny Barboza, is going to be joining us here when we come back. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. We'll get through it.
Back on.
We'll get through it. There you go. Yes, you are.
You're on.
That actually was a really good setup because you got to talk about the sugar in the ryegrass.
Well,
metabolic issues.
I know. I was looking kind of over your list and stuff before we started. I was looking at the actual email last night, and I was like, I need something to open the show. I was like, well, maybe I'll talk about this, and hopefully, like I said, I'm the simpleton of the show. I ask all the questions. Hopefully, this will ring a bell somewhere in the conversation.
It did. Wonderful.
Ready, Mike?
Yes, I am.
Here we go. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. We'd love for you to join the podcast. The way you do that is go over to equinedynamics.com. At the very top of the page says, join the podcast. Click on that little button, and there's a little orange bar up there. You can leave a message, comes right to our inbox, and we'll play it on the very next podcast. We broadcast every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, a little town we like to call Marshville. Your voice can be heard right alongside of us. You can be anonymous if you want. If you just want to ask a question or make a statement, by all means, we welcome everyone. Just go to equinedynamics.com, join the podcast, and your voice can be heard right alongside of us here in the studio. And over to my far hand side, my very own talkative fellow is Mike Stine. How are you?
I am doing okay, Travis. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing even better because joining us here in the studio, we have holistic equine trainer Penny Barboza joining us this week, and we appreciate you joining us this week, Penny. How are you?
appreciate. Oh, fun, wonderful. Appreciate being asked. How are you doing, Travis?
I'm doing well. I'm relaxed and stressed at the same time that I put this new grass seed down that I'm not going to see any results until February.
Well, the birds will like it.
I know that's the problem. That's the problem I have to deal with. But enough about my grass problems and everything. And Penny, during the break, you said that we were talking about the sugars and everything. But let's get a little background on you first, so our audience knows and gets an idea of who you are. So tell us a little bit about who is Penny Barboza and how you got into the equine holistic training issues or not issues, but the field that you're in.
Sure. Yes. Like most people that are all horse, I fell out of my mother screaming horse, and that was all that mattered to me. I enjoyed doing the 4-H. We didn't quite have the money for what is the high end as far as the pony club, but I still got all of that I could get. So after that, I picked up a career of breaking and starting young horses and retraining badly trained horses. I've ridden every discipline, almost all of them, from race horses right on up to the Grand Prix dressage horse. But I especially lean towards the dressage. So that I did want to mention that I've got the idea of how to help people across the board for other disciplines, English and Western. Anyway, that French and German methods. So my youngest children of 4 took off. And once she took off, I decided that I would take her all the way to the top. It was really nice that I had somebody in the family to leave us 20 some acres of land, a beautiful home on a farm, and a lot of money. And so we ended up getting her 2 older schoolmasters, and they were practically given to us, given that they were at the end of their lives. And because of my holistic abilities, we went ahead and we were able to bring them back to their top performance selves. Anyway, so during that time where she came alive, we became internationally ranked as well as nationally ranked at the top. 3 or 4 years, she was top 10 one year, and the last couple of years, top 4 in the nation for dressage seat equitation. This is medal classes put through USEF. Anyway, it was wonderful. At age 18, when she graduated from my home school here, for traveling up and down the America, she took off and went to Washington and became a trainer, and very proud of her. So that's kind of my epitome of who I am. But I take on horses at a freelance and enjoy working with badly trained horses or abused horses.
Now, my wife rides dressage style, and when I first met her 20 years ago, she was doing the hunter jumper for a very, very long time. And the horse that at the time was called the horse's name was Widget. This horse was 17.2. It was a huge tank of a horse. And I knew a little bit about horses just from the friends and family members that I had always had a horse, but they were all trail riding horses. Nothing to this level. Then she slowly kind of evolved into dressage. So what is it about dressage that attracts so many people going from these high impact sports as far as like hunter jumper? And you said, you rode, the derby tracks and all that stuff and cross country and eventing. And what drives people, and in your opinion, to the dressage? Are they tired of the hard impact on their bodies the older they get? Like I said, I met my wife 20 years ago. What do you think is the biggest attraction going from these high impact sports down to I don't want to say down to, but to a dressage level?
Yeah, when you get older, your body doesn't bounce anymore.
Right.
So I assume that's what the horse bounces with you, and you bounce, and when you fall off, you bounce, and you get back up, and you have this, you beat your chest and get back on. And then as you get older, you realize your joints aren't hanging in there anymore, and they don't go with the body movement of the horses quite as well. Dressage too can be tough in that I belly danced for 7 years.
Oh.
And I realized that when I started doing it, that my hips would bounce up and down and up and down, and I could look like my upper body was not moving. And I realized it contributed to the sitting trot. where my top hat on my head would stay level and not move, but my hips would go with the horse's big extended trot and dance. I love to dance and love to jog, which are wonderful ways to keep your body going. But that's the answer to your question. You hit it on the head.
Yeah, I figured it was
old.
And they're getting old. I think, we all go through those phases, don't we, Mike?
Definitely. I'm going through that myself. I don't bounce like I used to after 40 years of being under horses,
I've known Mike for probably about 10 years. And we talked about during the break, him getting underneath horses and everything. He just doesn't pop up like he normally would after being bent over. He's, hand on the knee and then hand on the stool and then, kind of pushes himself up. So I feel the pains across the board. So we have you on the show because we were going to, you wanted to discuss how young horses care prevents the future locomotion problems. So when we talk about care and locomotion problems per breed, let's start with the breeds first. So give us the background on what we're looking for in a breed horse.
Right. She had called me the other day because of the locomotion problems with the horse she was dealing with.
Okay. So that's where this all started. Yeah. Go ahead, Penny.
Yeah. So our aim here together today is to draw a picture so that the others never have to go through what I know I've been through. And just like humans, the horses are the same way. In the beginning, you see them hopping around out there in the pasture, jumping in the air and bucking and standing on their hind end. And as they get older, they too are wearing down so that when they're finally at ages where they're not performing, we're injecting them and pushing the performance and fixing the ring up so that it's a little of a more aesthetic ring that can give them more life in their journey for their joints. And so I feel like in this set of podcasts that we're going to do, if we just start with number one, and that is how that young horse care prevents those future locomotion problems. So then we start with breed. And Mike and I were enjoying conversations the other day together about the different breeds, and he's had, and as well as I have, the Arab, and the fact that the Arab and their conformation sets them and predisposes them to certain occurrences as they age through life, depending upon, of course, the rest of their environment and how they're treated. What breed? What is their conformation? You can take a dressage horse and you can turn him into a barrel horse if you want. Now, what sets him up for failure is that his hocks are higher up than, for example, a quarter horse. Their hocks sit lower to the ground. All right. So exchange that and think about a warm blood who is high up in the withers and lower in the haunches, sitting down and trying to cut a cow. You see how your quarter horse's haunches being above the withers allows them to sit down in the front end and cut the cow out of the herd. And so when you start considering how these horses are bred, where they're bred, and their early juvenile years, then you can get and start and talk about some long-term holistic ability to maintain their health and their happiness without so much veterinary care.
Right. You can't go against their basic nature, but so much,
Now, the horse that my wife was riding on when we first met was a German Oldenburg. Does that make any sense to you? Okay. So
I have one.
So is it a large horse, or was ours just like a one-off thing?
Well, yours was a one. They do have the larger breeds, and they do have the smaller. My Oldenburg is a mare that's about 15.2 and 15.3 hands. She came from a stallion that was a larger stallion, but the mother was a smaller horse, and when she came out, that's how high she got. And to me, I liked that because then my daughter was able to ride her as a shorter child.
So we went from the hunter jumper of the 17.2 Oldenburg straight into dressage, and the horse did so well she was having problems with the hunter jumper type deal. It wasn't meeting the beats with the horse so when I introduced her, that horse has got such fluid movement. It's got such movement. It's a pretty horse is what my wife calls it. It's a pretty horse. And so she started going in the dressage world and took off and just fell in love with it, even with this huge mammoth of a horse. But you were saying like the hocks and everything are a little bit different, making this a quote unquote pretty type horse.
Yes, the hocks, the angle of the hips, the angle of the shoulder, all determines how the movement and what the judge wants to see, and whether the horse can happily perform or struggles to perform whatever which the next segment of what we were going to talk about was discipline is. I totally understand a rather large horse. They have a harder time in collection as far as dressage goes. The one horse that brought me to Mike, it got 18 hands.
Oh, man.
And it was unfortunate that part of the environment that we were also going to talk about, and partly what was my fault, incorrectly feeding this horse, which I had no idea grass was going to cause that metabolic, what Mike spoke about, metabolic slowdown, metabolic speeding up issue, determined this horse's growth was so fast that he was already, by the time he was 2 years old, was way too big at almost 17 hands at 2 years old.
Right. And that growing them out too fast can cause some weird tendon and ligament problems at times, for sure.
And it did.
Okay, we're gonna take a quick little break, and when we come back, we're gonna dive into the discipline portion, because I think we're kind of going to that portion right now. So we're gonna take a quick little break, gather our thoughts, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about the discipline of the holistic equine trainer, Penny Barboza. So stick around. You're listening to Deacon. Oh God, I forgot what show I'm doing. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So Penny, I apologize for that. So just to give you a little background on myself, this is my full-time job. I do 4 different podcasts like Mike's. I do Mike's, and then I do 3 other podcasts. And if I don't have someone sitting here right next to me, I word garble and I spit out the other shows that just out of habit. So I apologize for that. I brought up another show and I didn't mean to do that.
No, I didn't even know that's what you were doing. I just know that you're talking to get it all in a short amount of time.
Right.
But I think that went well, didn't it?
Yes, it went very well. So. Yeah, that was perfect. That's perfect. So we're going to dive into the discipline. And like I said, the more information you have, and you're doing awesome with the information, I really do appreciate it. And if I have any questions, I'll be the first one to say, whoa, that doesn't make sense. Or, hey, what about this? Or, hey, what about that? Like I said, bear with me because these are questions that I have as a horse owner, not a horse person. Does that make any sense to you? So we'll continue with the discipline portion. Mike, you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Penny, you ready?
I am.
Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget to follow him over on Facebook. And the reason why you're going to do that is because he posts a bunch of different articles up there. He posts a lot of diagrams, a lot of interesting pictures about horses. And sometimes he wants your opinion on them. How do you feel about this? What are you looking at? How does this picture make you feel? What are you looking at? What's wrong with this type of horse? And he posts all the different x-rays that we have on here on the show. You'll find those up there on his Facebook page. Just search Equine Dynamics Mike Stine over on Facebook. He's got 2 pages. He's got a personal page and his business page. He posts on one, he'll post on the other one. So you won't see like his lunch menu or anything like that, or any of those crazy things that, but it's always equine related. So just something to get past your doom scrolling that's on the Facebook that is completely flooded Facebook right now. You want to be a little bit more educational, a little bit more wiser as far as the equine world. Search for him over on Facebook. That's Mike Stine, Equine Dynamics. And over to my far end side, my very own social media creator is Mike Stine. How are you?
I am doing okay. How are you doing?
Doing all right. And joining us this week, holistic equine trainer Penny Barboza is joining us all the way from. Are you in? You're in North Carolina, right?
North Carolina, yeah.
Over in the Raleigh area. I thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to, like I said, tell others about what happened to me and let them not have to go through that.
Well, hence the show. This is a total education show, and it also qualifies for continuing education credits for farriers that are out there. And I see that you are training level to the FEI international levels as well. So this qualifies for, like, if you're a farrier or anything like that, and
IPF, yes.
IPF to get continuing education. So we qualify for that as well. So you're part of that whole continuing education group. So we appreciate you. So we were talking about how young horse care prevents future locomotion and problems. We start with the breed of the horses and where the hocks are on different breeds of horses and how it can be beneficial or detrimental to the horse. Now we're going to talk about, we started going into the discipline of that. Now, when we say discipline, I'm thinking you're a bad horse. Go sit in the corner with a dunce hat on. You know, you're a bad horse.
That's what you tell me every day.
I do. Right after the show, I go, Mike, that was a horrible show. Go sit in the corner and think about what you did.
Yeah.
But with a horse, when we talk about discipline, we're talking about the style of riding, correct? Instead of actually, when you say discipline, punishment, we're talking about style of riding.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. And that includes even bareback.
Okay. So when we talk about discipline, how does that care prevent future locomotion problems for horses?
Let's see. Let's talk about the saddle.
Okay.
It is going to be costly, but if you have a saddle and a saddle fitter, then you are going to get more years out of your equine's life. He is going to be able to give you less trouble in that you will not have to hire your acupuncturist as often, and that you will not have to have injections as often, that you will not have to be told that your horse is locking in the spine and then have to put it out to pasture because it bucks you off every time you tighten down the saddle. We know and understand that the saddle, it works with how the horse's body moves. And I have heard many times to say, well, the no hoof, no foot, no horse. Well, wrong saddle, no horse.
Mike, you were going to say something?
Right. And, that's one thing that with ill-fitting saddles, you put up with problems, movement pattern problems, which affects definitely what I do as a farrier and makes it more difficult to keep a horse together.
When you bring up the saddle fitter, for the longest time, and it takes me a while to get this through my head, certain things that my wife does, I'm like, you just had the saddle fitted last year. Why is it thing? And the way she explains it to me is, let's say you're working out in a gym, right? I go to the gym, I work out, I lift weights and stuff. You have a certain gym outfit attire that you wear. So as you either lose weight or gain muscle, those clothes don't fit you as well anymore. So what do? You have to get a new outfit or something that fits better. Luckily, with a saddle, you don't have to go out and buy a $8,000-$9,000 saddle every time. What you do is you adjust the flocking that's inside to accommodate for the muscle growth or the weight loss or whatever your goal is for that horse. Whatever it needs to be. And you're right, Penny, as far as I'm not seeing the acupuncturist come out as often with our horse. Well, we have a horse off property, Diego. That's our new show horse now. I'm not seeing the massage therapist come out there as frequent anymore because of the horse, the saddle being flocked anymore or being flocked as much to eliminate some of those problems.
Yes. Saddle and bit. Pads, they have new pads now that have a technology inside of them. For example,
Bluetooth? No Bluetooth on the saddle pads?
No, I don't think there's Bluetooth.
There you go. I love that. Far infrared saddle pads, right?
Yeah, that'd be awesome too.
True. They do have these things. This technology is out there, and it is expensive, but in the long run, so was your veterinarian, your other holistic people like your PEMF. Your wife, I'm sure, has had that done.
I'm going to say yes to that because I don't know what that is, but I'll say yes.
Probably.
That's an awesome thing, for sure. So that saddle is definitely a key issue in the longevity of your young horse from the beginning to the end, actually. Can we go on to how the horse is built for the modern show ring? We mentioned already that their horses and their general conformation. Now let's talk about the modern show ring. For example, Alaric, who won in the 1988 Olympics, if he was to right now ride down the A in a dressage test, the judges would probably laugh him out of the ring because he would be up the pole, the highest point, and the nose, and would not go to the chest like we talk about in roll cur, and his front legs in the extended trot was never supposed to go past the point of the nose as the horse was rounded in front of himself. But that's not the case anymore. The judges want to see the front legs extend as far out as you can get them. And due to that fact, the modern horses are now what I call, and especially the dressage ring, hyperflexive. It's Mike, you and I were talking the other day about what was expected with the quarter horses, how they were in the beginning and now how they are.
Right. Is hyperflexive good or bad thing?
It is what the breeders, especially in Holland, The Hague, places like that, are doing to create that new, modern, desirable movement, which was not needed back in 40s, 50s, and 60s. See, for example, the dressage horse used to be used to go into battle because they didn't have tanks and airplanes back then.
Right.
It was the horse that went in with the armor on, and so it had to be very heavy. It had to be able to stay and hold up the armor and stay on the ground and push through with the lance. And now they want that all bred out of them. There's no need. It was also a wonderful horse in that when it came home from the war, it went out into the field and you stuck a plow behind it.
Right. Yes, a multi-purpose machine.
When we were in London, we went to the armory, one of the London armories, and they had a whole floor dedicated to the armor that were on horses at the time. And we took all the different pictures and all the different stuff and all the different gear. Even the bits were almost medieval torture looking to put in the horse's mouth. And I'll post some of the pictures over on Mike Stine's Facebook page. But yeah, it was just amazing. My wife was just like, wow, these are really, really neat. This is interesting how they tried to protect the horses so much because, like you said, they didn't have tanks or anything like that back then. It was just very, very interesting. All right, we're going to take a quick little break. And when we come back, speaking of, back then and now, we're going to talk about the environment of the horses. So stick around. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. Boop. Penny, you doing okay?
Hey, it's great. I hope everything is good for y'all.
Oh, yeah,
it's wonderful. It's wonderful.
As long as you're having a good time, we're having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So when we come back, we're going to talk about the environment of the horse. Is that correct? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll go into some feed, some forage, and terrain.
Okay. Right. And I'll let you, like I said, I'll let you steer the conversation, and we can go from there. Mike, you doing all right over there?
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
You need a sip of water or anything?
Yeah.
What is that? Your kiwi juice?
No, this is not kiwi juice.
What is that?
Matcha tea.
Matcha tea? You have to be careful of matcha tea. I've heard some bad things about matcha tea.
What have you heard about it?
It puts hair on your chest. I don't know. I just see like people like that drink it like constantly, like every day, that don't need it. I don't know. It might be an internet thing. I don't know. I don't drink it, so I just kind of live through.
Well, I'm not drinking it every day.
Yeah, the 30-second videos at a time. So
right,
that's where I get my news from. It's not good, but it's entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we'll come back and talk about the environment of the horse and the feed and the forage and the terrain and all that good stuff, and how my grass is not going to come in until February of next year.
Your birds are going to be fat.
Fat birds out there, I guess.
Hopefully the seeds aren't coated with too much stuff for the birds.
They look like they didn't have a coating on it. They look like regular seeds.
Okay.
But I'm hoping, like I said, because I took that aerator and I punched as many holes in the ground as I possibly could.
You should have done the whole place with a screwdriver.
Screwdriver and a mallet?
Yeah, there you go.
I would have been out there for days. We got to delay the podcast for that. All right, here we go. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. If you don't want to go live on the air with us, that's fine. You don't have to. If you're a little shy, that's no problem. What you can do is go to equinedynamics.com. You can send Mike an email, an actual physical old school email. Go over to equinedynamics.com, hit contacts, a little drop down menu. Put your question in there. It comes right to Mike Stine's email box, and he'll either answer you right then and there, or if it's good enough, we'll read it live on the air. But always make sure you put your physical address in there, because we will send you out a magnet, some stickers, whatever we have in the swag bag there. We'll send that out to you just for being part of the show and supporting the Equine Dynamics podcast. And over to my far hand side, my very own secretariat is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing okay, Travis. How are you doing? And thank you for being with us, Penny.
Oh, thank you. I'm enjoying this so far.
And so far, she hasn't made it to the end of the show yet. And joining us this week, holistic equine trainer Penny Barboza. We thank you. So we already talked about, taking care of the young horses and prevent locomotion problems. We talked about the breed and the discipline. Now we're going to jump into the environment. And the environment, you're talking about like the feed, what we feed the horses, the forage and terrain, and how it can affect these horses. So, Penny, how is my grass seed out there going to affect my horse in a negative way, or should I worry about that right now?
Well, I want to know, did you take your grass seed and did you send it off to have samples in some famous vet school to check the chemical markers?
Well, I read the label and it said, this is what's in it, and this is what's in it, and this is what's in it. And I took a picture and I sent it to my own personal biochemist person, i.e. my wife. She's not a biochemist. She looked at it. She gave it the thumbs up. So I'm hoping with that 2-point verification that I'm okay.
Yes, I think that you will be. And it depends. For example, there was a big time horse show. Ladies' horse was looking to go to the Olympics in dressage, and they pulled the blood. The blood came back. It had something illegal in it. She knew that the horse had not had any of this illegal issue been given to it, or no injections. They ended up taking the feed, sending it off, and found out that the place where the feed was made and put together, that the feed prior to that had a cattle food in it, and that they did never fully wash out the bins mixing that feed up. And that lady was able to get her name off of the list of do not show for 6 months because you are being penalized.
That's kind of like those companies that say, hey, whatever that you buy was made in a factory that also processed peanuts. They'll put that on the bottom of the label. They should have put that on the bottom of the horse feed. Mike, you were going to say something?
No, that there have been things that have slipped through like that for sure.
Well, that's just poor. Now and I'm Penny, I don't know if you know the answer to this. Is it regulated like the FDA, regulates our food? Is there a horse FDA that regulates how the food and the pellets and the grains are processed at, like, let's say, not to pick on Purina, because we love Purina. There, we have Eric
Shoup, yeah.
He's a vendor of ours. Is there someone that comes out there and actually, federal government or independent company that comes out there and looks at these things and makes sure that they're cleaning the barrels out from the cattle feed going into the horse feed process?
No, but what you do is you want to hire a feed company that says that they are solely dedicated to only the particular type of feed that they themselves are testing and critiquing and certifying themselves.
Right.
That is where you want to go. Yeah, that's the way that I have seen most people have less trouble once their horses are being pulled for blood tests or urine test.
I've seen early on in the Equine Dynamics podcast, I brought up a thing that I found out because we had a feed store around here that was trying to push their local feed to us, hey, this has got the best this, it's got the best that. And one of the things that she was pointing out, the difference between the good stuff and the bad stuff, is that one of them uses peanut husk, the shells of peanuts in the feed as a filler. And that's not good for, and I won't mention what brand of food that she was talking about, but things like that. You need to, I guess, dive in a little bit more and figure out what you're feeding your horses outside of the commercials that you see on the TV shows.
Right.
You know that a lot of people now are going grainless. They are now deciding that the horse back in the day before grain was only on forage. And that's our next section we're going to talk about is forage. Essentially, sugar is death, and grain can have a lot of sugar in it. And that's going to give your horse the energy you want, but it's also going to tear them down at the same time. Another option is something like teff hay, Teff. Teff hay, not alfalfa. While the horses love alfalfa, try to take a piece of candy away from a baby, then try to take a piece of alfalfa away from a horse. You'll learn.
Now I'm currently feeding. We have 2 retired horses here, and we do a Timothy fescue. Is that what I'm feeding the horses?
I'm not sure what you're feeding your horses.
I think it's a Timothy alfalfa. Sorry, it's a Timothy alfalfa. Yep, Timothy alfalfa, and it's always the first cut. I don't know what the difference is between 2. Probably sugar's higher in one and lower in the other. But that's what we're feeding our horses. But it's only 1 fleck a day because our pastures are kind of recuperating from the winter and stuff. So you're saying alfalfa's bad, or just to a certain point? Like you can give a kid a candy, you just can't give him the whole bowl.
Well, the alfalfa has a very high protein as well, and so good alfalfa is very expensive, and horses love it, and they can blossom on it, if you will. But sometimes that blossom is more, or was, a metabolic issue. Like my young two-year-old, when he was 2, he's 6 now. Everybody in the ring goes, "Oh, is that a 2-year-old?" And people would say, "How did you get him so fit?" I didn't do anything any extra. He just began to put on this crusty neck and this bubble butt, if you want to call it that. Mm-hmm. And for sure that made him look, and the judges choose him. But in the end, he was heating up, and his body was becoming hot. And I eventually had some markers drawn on a test that they can do now called HTMA, which tells you where your metabolic issue is on your horse and can give you a definite on. Mine was a fast 4, which meant he was just before having laminitis when we found this issue. So
go ahead, Mike.
That Chris, getting on the right hay.
The crusty neck thing and bubble butt is something I will look at totally different than a judge. Because of years of dealing with it. Dealing with the aftermath.
So Mike, you look at a big neck and a crusty butt. What did you say before?
The bubble butt. Or crusty. Sorry,
that just came out wrong. A crusty neck and a what?
The bubble butt.
Bubble butt in a different way.
There are particular places where horses will pick up fat pockets when they're heading towards being metabolic.
All right. Thank you for digging me out of that hole. All right. I'm sorry, Penny. Yeah. Penny, continue, please. I apologize for that.
That's good. No, y'all, you're both right. It is a crusty situation.
It is.
And so anyway, what we're looking at too is your terrain. What is the grade of your pasture? Do you have a flat pasture? Do you have a 10% grade where your horse can actually get in there and get some movement and work itself? Because it's basically a horse is a pasture ornament or a stall ornament. Have you also, let's talk about your riding ring. Have you got sand in your arena, or do you have scraped up dead tires where they took the dead tires and they put them in there and they got them all shredded up?
There are some of those still around too.
Do you have mag sulf? Yes, and it says they're bouncy, and I somewhat agree, but I also see that what it does to the horses, you're taking something that is petroleum-based and sticking it in the frog or near the part where the horse is very sensitive, and that goes to say with mag sulf. Do y'all know what mag sulf is?
Do not.
So nowadays, instead of wanting to water your ring, or put in sprinklers, you want to take mag sulf, which is a chemical that once you spread it, it maintains the moisture in your sand. And if you'll go through a barn of horses that ride in mag sulf all the time, pick up their feet and look at them, it looks like a piece of beef jerky. Like they used the chemical to preserve the hoof and it dried up.
So spell that for me, because it sounds like you're saying mag salt.
Magnesium sulfate.
Oh, okay.
Magnesium
sulfate.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay.
And so those chemicals are making people's lives better and horses' lives not better. And so when we talk about terrain, those different aspects of what we've just mentioned can make or break your horse ultimately as it gets older. Have you ever seen that mag sulf being thrown down, Mike?
I have seen people put that down, and it does change the bottom of the foot for sure.
I've got crush run on mine. Is that okay?
Crush and run is going to do a little more damage to your horse's joints. If you want to know what I found to be the best after years and years, and we've been to Florida to the season and seen them put down these wonderful German footings. But to me, what we did was, and you can do it one of two ways. You can't really get sand anymore. What you can get is somebody who has a sandblasting business that blasts wood signs, and get that from them. So when a sand starts out, it starts out angular. That's why it can cut into wood and make a sign. And then when they're finished with it, they can't use it anymore because the sand is so round that it won't blast the sign and cut the sign. So you get this, and you save up a lot. You bring it in, you put it in your ring. What I liked and what I had the guy do was they went to a quarry, and I had him wash the sand in the quarry for 6 months until it became round like that. And when you bring that into your ring, the round sand, when it fits together, if you'll think about it, it's not like a puzzle fitting, it's more round, and the round leaves for the holes in the middle so that the water can stay in longer, and it's easier on the horse's joints.
It's like a big ball pit.
And it is. And you just want to make sure too that your horse doesn't in very deep sand. So the crush and run we will use for the bottom with the French drains, and then bring in that other footing on the top, because it is really illegal to go out and dig sand somewhere on the coast and bring it in.
Oh, I know.
Right.
I was born and raised in Florida. I know that very well.
I know in Rocky River down there, they used to dig sand out 8 years ago, but I don't think they're doing that anymore.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick little break. One more little segment. We'll let you get back to playing with their ponies. You're listening to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. He'll be right back. Right.
We're looking forward to our next one, which will be the farrier and the vet. Twin Solutions. But we won't talk about that now until I'll send all that to you.
Yeah.
Send it to who, me?
Well, we're going to do 3 of these together, aren't we? Three.
We can.
Yeah. This is.
We're going to end up this one and then follow up next week.
Next Monday we can
Monday.
do a different one.
Okay. I'll talk to you about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is our last segment. This is where we kind of wrap up what we learned today, and then you're waiting for the all clear. Stick around, and then we'll kind of chit chat like old friends at a tea party. Sound good?
Yes.
Okay. Mike, you ready?
Yes.
Hold on. My sinuses are draining this morning, Mike, so I apologize.
That time of the year.
I know. Man, it's funny. We're over in Europe, and as soon as we landed back here, the very next day, of course, the cars are covered with pollen.
Right.
And as soon as my wife, the very next morning, her eyes are all puffy, her nose is all runny. I go, "What is wrong with you?" Pollen. It was all over the place. And you're like,
back home.
Yeah, back home. Welcome home, everybody. No, we had a good time. We had a group of 13 people.
Okay.
It was very nice. Very nice. We had a good time.
Yep.
I'll show you pictures later.
Okay.
Of the actual Eiffel Tower, too.
Right.
You don't care. Mike doesn't care. All right, here we go. Welcome back to Equine Dynamics with Mike Stine. Don't forget, you can join the podcast at any time. Go to equinedynamics.com. At the very top of the page says join the podcast. Your voice can be heard right alongside of us. In the studio, we broadcast every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, a little town we like to call Marshville. You can also follow us over on YouTube as well. Search Equine Dynamics Mike Stine over on YouTube, and you can see the full-length podcast in its entirety over there on our YouTube channel. Give them a follow and subscribe over there as well. And over to my far right side is my very own YouTube creator is Mike Stine. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you, Travis? And how are you, Penny?
Well, thank you for asking.
And joining us this week all the way from the Raleigh area in North Carolina is holistic equine trainer Penny Barboza joining us. Thank you very much. And you're a mother of 4 grown children. Good for you. So you have horses and 4 children. How do you balance those two out?
Well, I just put them on a horse and make them ride until they grow up and leave.
So instead of sitting the kids in front of like today's, put a laptop or a tablet in front of them, you put the horse in front of them, and they learn from there.
Yeah,
that's an excellent.
The horses. There's 20 years difference between my oldest and my youngest.
Well, still,
the oldest didn't even have a laptop.
I still think that's a good idea. Let kids go out there and touch some grass, touch some animals, and learn about life experiences in general. All right, Mike, what did we learn today?
What did we learn today?
Talking with Penny Barboza, we were talking about how young horses can prevent future locomotion problems per breed. Penny?
Yes, here we're talking about the disciplines and the breeds and the various methods, protocols, strategies for hoof care and for the whole horse holistic care. So that the breeds and the styles of riding that you do are complementary for your horse.
Mike?
Yes. You can't go against a horse's basic nature but so much, and everything has to work together.
It's a reason why Clydesdales aren't out there doing dressage training type deal.
Well, they could.
They could. It look a little funny out there, but yeah. Also, the discipline, and we're talking about discipline, the actual style of riding, not go sit in a corner with a dunce cap on. Penny?
Right, and so every horse, like you just mentioned, the Clydesdale can go down the center line and perform a dressage test. Judges love to see it, but you're going to do it on a less level. So depending upon how high you want to go with your horse, how much you want to impressing the outside world with what you do and what you ride, how much money you have to spend, you consider your horse and whatever his discipline is, you think about his back, his health, her way of going, it's a matter of being happy at what you do, but the horse has to be happy too.
Mike?
Yes, for sure. And every arena is different. Every horse is different, and you can improve horses. Pretty much all horses with dressage, but not all of them are going to make top-end dressage horses.
And also, we're talking about the environment, meaning the feed, the forage, and the terrain of horses. Penny?
Yes, sir. One thing I didn't mention is that my horse was born in Belgium, and there in Belgium, this horse had no grass. And that was the terrain. And then I buy the horse, I import it here, and I put it on grass. Little did I know that I was killing my horse and became very metabolic. Now the poor thing looks at me because every other horses can see eating grass, and he's not allowed to be on grass anymore, or I might as well put him down. And so that terrain, that environment, that feed, and the forage, and what we do for our animals is vital for their longevity.
Mike?
Yes, for sure. And, we all love to see our horses big. Not always a good idea.
And I put my new, my beef cattle pasture grass down for my 2 retired horses out there. So fingers crossed when it comes fall, hopefully
we'll have some good steaks next spring.
Hopefully we'll have some nice grass out there. We'll just have to keep an eye on them. We have a center pasture with no grass in it, so we might have to.
Right, you always have your sacrifice pasture.
Yeah, so we have one out there. All right, Penny, how can our listeners find you? How can they get a hold of you if they have any questions or want to contact you? How can they reach out to you?
Yeah, sure. I'm freelance, very low key. I come, I see what you do, how you ride, what you work. I drive to you. You can call me 919-218-2636. You can talk with me, lotus.hips, LOTUS.HIPS @gmail.com. Love to talk to you. Love to hear from anybody that wants to better understand holistic on a very high level. Let's bring back your older horse. Let's talk about your younger horse. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, if you've enjoyed this podcast and you'd like us to perform out at your location, the way you do that is go to equinedynamics.com. On the very top of the page says clinics. Fill out that form. We'll pencil you in. We got a couple weeks left. No, I say a couple weeks left.
A little bit more than that.
Yeah, we got another 7 to 8 shows left in this season, but we can come out anytime during the year, out at your event, your bar mitzvah, your wedding party, your garage sale, whatever you got going on. We can do this podcast right out your front door. So fill out that email. We'll pencil you in and get you on our schedule. On behalf of Mike Stine over there,
enjoy your ponies and have a good day.
I'd like to thank Penny Barboza, a holistic equine trainer, for joining us this week.
That such a wonderful time. I am glad to be asked part of this.
Thank you.
My name is Travis, saying see you next week.
All of the doggies are in the
And we're clear.
corral.
There you go.
All of your work is done.
Penny.
Just close your
You did
eyes
awesome.
and dream,
Yeah, I
little
want
pal.
to do more of these with you guys.
Dream
Okay.
of
Because we have more to talk about. What we
someone.
talked about wasn't even already stretching out the tongue.
I know. I know. There's so you could just. I mean, there's a
Lucky.
reason why we've
Good
been
night,
doing
Ned.
this
Good night,
coming
Dad.
up on 5
Good night,
years now.
Ned.
There's just so much information out there.